Welcome to the Silent Thinking Podcast, a space to slow down, breathe, and reconnect. Today I'm reading from Walking the Path, A Leader's Journey by Dr. Keith McNally, a reflective story about the inner journey of leadership. Just listen and let the stillness support you. The story continues. John continued to read and reflect on the journal. The whole experience, in fact, all of my experiences became overwhelming. I had to write them down. These experiences go beyond my physical trek over the mountains. As I look back, I consider the whole experience to be amazing. This make it seem like I was on some type of vacation. Of course, this was the furthest thing from reality. Still, it was like an unexpected transformation, and I'm so glad for the experience. My senses became much keener. I don't have superpowers. Well, I laugh. Maybe I do in some ways, but I became aware of myself from both inside and outside like I never had before. My life changed, and my world became mine to control rather than being controlled by it. It is a journey that I now need to share with as many people as I can. This journal will help me to do just that. As I said earlier, I began to talk to myself. First, it was just something that I was doing without really thinking about it. Since I was alone, I felt the need to hear someone speak. I wasn't thinking about it at first. I think it was about the second or third day that I became aware of my self-talk. At that point, I became more intentional with my self-talk. That's the term I use for it, self-talk. I was probably talking to myself since the beginning, but I've never really been alone like that before. You never really know how quiet the world is until you are all alone. It's eerie, but it felt free all at the same time. I wish I had words to explain it, but I don't, except for the birds or the insects chirping. All was rather silent, and silence has an eerie feeling associated with it. At first, long periods of silence were definitely spooky. This was true, especially at night. In the valley, you might hear some cats fighting or a dog barking. Not so in the mountains. There are other noises out there, owls, of course, and things that rustle the leaves in the trees or crack the branches on the ground. But mostly, the air is still and silent. And it was in this silence that I began to talk to myself. But I seem to be getting ahead of myself because there is so much to write down. At the same time, I'm excited to write about the co-creative experiences I had, but I think it will make more sense in some sort of context. So in this journal, I will try to put the experience into context. For now, I know that my experiences across the mountains and back into valley beyond was hand in hand with my guardian host of haven. I survived the journey and I'm living to write about it. Almost a week passed. Liz asked John to join her for dinner again. She asked John to meet her at her house before they went to the general store for some groceries, then to the lake. I promise I won't get angry, Liz said. Look, I'm sorry for how I behaved last time. It was inconsiderate of me, not like me at all. My emotions were all over the place. I want you to feel free to talk about anything with me. Anything? John asked. Yes, Liz said, anything. We are friends. I don't want anything to come between us. They found a bench under a tree in the park. As the two began eating, John mentioned that he brought a jacket, just in case Liz got a chill again. You know, John said, trying to start a conversation without it feeling awkward. Winter is just around the corner. It's a few weeks out. Yeah, so, Liz said. Winter always comes at the same time every year. I know, John said sheepishly, but this time I'll be 18. Yeah, Liz said excitedly. That's right. Finally, we should do something special for your birthday. Like what? John asked. I don't know, Liz said. Something. I will think of something. My parents aren't big on birthdays, John added shyly. I know, Liz said. I think that's so weird. Then you and me should really do something special, since your parents won't. Maybe we can even ask my cousin Penny to come along. Sure, John said. Maybe we could go fishing. I found a great spot on the west side of the lake. There's a tree down and the fish love it. They think they can hide, but I caught 4 last week. Maybe, Liz said. Let me ask Penny. If she's not up for it, is there anything else you would like to do? I don't know, John said. Turning 18 doesn't feel any different than anything else I've ever done. But somehow I think it should. It should feel different. It should feel special, but it doesn't. Maybe we should start a new tradition, Liz said. What do you mean? John asked. I mean, Liz said, we should do something different. That's all. Everyone in the valley does the same thing. We go to work, we go to school, we fish, we hunt. Nothing changes. And nothing's going to change because the people here like it is this way. Then why you don't want to do something different? John asked inquisitively. Because I'm tired of doing the same thing all of the time, Liz added. John gave Liz a strange look. You never said anything like that before, John said. Well, Liz said, I've been doing some thinking of my own. Thinking about what? John asked. Stuff, Liz said jokingly. I'm 18. You're turning 18. We're done with school. You have your future set, working on your father's farm. John immediately turned away from her. John, Liz said soothingly, don't turn away. You should be proud. Your dad trusts you. He trusts you enough to take over the family business someday. Like I said, you should be proud. I know, John said. He looked ashamed and dejected. It's probably the right thing to do. What do you mean? Liz asked. What do you mean, probably? Nothing, John said softly. I was just agreeing with you. Well then, Liz said, since your future's set, we would just try to have some fun on your 18th birthday. Fishing is fun, John said. Then we'll go fishing, Liz said. What about your cousin? John asked. She'll come too, Liz said. She's not much good fishing, but she's great company. After having dinner with Liz, John felt better. He thought Liz's behavior to be a bit odd, but sometimes that's just like her. He could never figure out girls. And Liz was the queen of confusion. She would say something one day, then think it over and say the opposite the next. But she had a good heart, and he did trust her. Next to Jose, Liz was the only other person that he did trust. He didn't even trust his family. Well, not to the extent to keep secret. Later that night, Joan read more of the journal. When I started the climb, I was anxious. I left at night. Literally, it was dark. The only light I had for some time was the moon and the stars. This was intentional. I did not want anyone to see me leave my house or the valley. My name and my situation were already a buzz for the neighbors. I did not want to add any more problems for my wife and kids. Although after a long absence, people might have had more words to say about me. Anyway, I tried to keep my actions to myself and away from spying eyes. I think I did just that because no one followed me, at least not to my knowledge. My first guess was that there was a deer path that probably made its way up and over the mountains. It made sense to me, since the deer came and went with the seasons. They must go somewhere when the weather gets cold in the valley. There must be warmth and plenty of vegetation somewhere. Wherever that somewhere was, that's where I was headed. I needed to follow a path that was easy to track and had plant growth of some sort. I would need food along the way. My guess was accurate for the most part, at least at the beginning. There was a path. At first, I took that as a good sign and nothing more. But later, I recognized that was part of the co-creative experience that I have been talking about. Not much creativity on my part, but it was the thought that kept me moving in the right direction. If animals knew how to get in and out of the valley through the mountains, then I should be able to do the same. I followed the path the first few nights rather slowly. I did not want to light a torch. I thought someone might be watching from the outskirts of town. I did not want to risk it. I didn't light a torch until the last of the street lights, and one porch light could no longer be seen. But the odd thing was, an owl kept hooting. At first, it was a nuisance, and it was close by. When I stopped to look up at it in a tree, it would fly a little way forward along the path. As I slowly made my way toward it, it would fly off again. It seemed to be leading me along the path. It was definitely leading me deeper into the forest and up the mountains. Again, this was weird at first, but things like this began to happen more frequently, and I soon learned to pay attention to them. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me. If this brought you peace, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and share it with someone who might need a little stillness too. Until next time, keep listening inward.